All right, good morning or afternoon, 7th graders. We are moving on to lesson 4, adding and subtracting graphically. Okay, so we've been looking at models of integer chips, maybe even using integer chips to add and subtract these integers, but now we need to understand them a little more deeply. So let's start with the date. You should be doing this on 9/26, Tuesday. And you may need a highlighter for this, but a highlighter and a pencil, but no calculator. So pause if you don't have your materials. Okay, so we can look at this on a number line. We are going to see that we are starting with 12. And you remember this. We use this for small numbers, for big numbers. Number line was very useful for us when we first started understanding addition and subtraction. So what is the result of 12 plus 6? Well, 12 plus 6 is 18, and we need to show that on a number line. So we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it takes us to 18. We can also do this with subtraction. I'm just going to label that 12 plus 6. Also do that with subtraction. 12 minus 7 is 5. I'm going to start at 12, and we're going to go back 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 to 5. And we're going to indicate that as 12 minus 7. Okay, so that's adding and subtracting. We're going to use that to go ahead into the world of integers, which means we are going to look at negative numbers. So when we add positive numbers, it moves a point that many units to the right, and when we subtract it, it moves that many points to the left. Let's see if that pattern holds when we include negative numbers. So we are starting at here, -4 and 7 there. Okay, so it's asking me to determine the result of 7 minus 10. Okay, so 7 minus 10 is the same as 7 plus -10. The difference between 10 and 7 is 3, and that is going to be a negative number. So let's see if this holds true. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. 7 minus 10 is indeed -3. What is the result of -4 plus 10? This time we're starting at -4. So I have -4 plus 10. The difference between 10 and 4 is 6. And that's going to be positive because 10 is greater than 4. So let's see if that holds true. Start at -4, move up 10 spaces, and that gives me positive 6 right there, right? Okay. So we can see from these two problems that using a number line is useful for proving and seeing why things work the way they do. So why is a negative added to subtracting a number whose absolute value is greater from another number end up negative? Well, we subtract the value, takes us to 0, but then we still have to subtract more. And the same works for adding a positive to a negative. If a positive is greater, we are going to end up having a positive result. Let's go on to C. What two numbers would lie 7 units away from 2 on this number line? Okay, so at this time, you're going to get your first Edpuzzle question. So you just answer it, and the video will move on. So I need you to use this number line. 2 numbers from 7 units away from 2. Sorry, brain stopped. Okay, so as you can see, this was not a choice. There actually are just two numbers that work for this situation. So 2 plus 7 is 9, and 2 minus 7 is negative 5. So make sure your notes are all caught up before you move on in the video. Okay, so now we have added and subtracted positive numbers. We are going to look at adding and subtracting negative numbers. Okay. So now we have a number located at 4 on the number line. What is 4 plus negative 9? Plot this point. So we're adding a negative, which means it's kind of like subtracting, so we're moving in the opposite direction. So we go back 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So our answer should be negative 5. What effect did adding a negative have on the location of this point? What happened to the point? The video is going to pause and you're going to go ahead and do an open response. Okay, so it made the point move in negative direction. Okay. All right. So now let's look at the point 4 minus negative 3. Well, if I'm taking away a negative number, I'm going to get this negative, right? So I'm taking away negative. So I'm going to start at 4. And I also know I can rewrite this, right? 2 negatives equals a positive. That's going to put me at 7. So again, the video is going to pause. What do you think? How would you describe the effect that subtracting a negative number had on the location of the point? So you should have written something in the effect made the point move in a positive direction. Okay. Go ahead and catch up on your notes here. Pause the video if you need to. Looks like we just have one more exercise left. And this actually is, you are going to see this type of problem a lot. And it shows us how we use this in real life, right? So temperature and water depth and elevation might be a really, really good quiz question. You do have a quiz on Monday. All right, a cold night in January starts with a temperature of 7 degrees Fahrenheit, and they've marked this on your number line right there. Overnight, the temperature drops by 13 degrees. Give an expression that gives the temperature in the morning. Evaluate the expression and plot the point on the number line. Okay, so you can have a couple questions that ask you to give the expression and solve the expression. Okay, so I have the expression 7 plus negative 13. So that's my expression. And then that is negative 6. Did you write 7 minus 13? and still get -6, that's completely okay too. It gives you the same result, which tells me that's the same expression. Okay, so I'm going to go down 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this is 7 plus -13. Or if you wrote 7 minus 13, it's -6. Good. Okay, so from the morning until noon. Okay, so it doesn't give me a starting point, so I'm going to assume I'm going to use the temperature I got in the last problem, which was -6. The temperature then rises by 8 degrees. Give an expression that calculates the temperature at noon, evaluate, and plot on the number line. Okay, again, the video is going to pause. You're going to answer the questions, and then you're going to try to plot and then check your answers in. Okay, this one was a little more straightforward. We start at -6, and it rises by 8, and that gives me 2. The difference between 8 and 6 is 2, and it's going to be positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's -6 plus 8 equals 2. If I use the commutative property, I can rewrite this as 8 plus -6 equals 2, because 8 plus -6, as we saw above, is just subtraction. Okay. You have work with number lines on Alex. So lesson 4 practice on Alex is your job today for math. Okay, I'll see you back tomorrow for another video lesson.